Get Into Gate, it is episode 23. We've hit season 2, boys. Stargate SG-1.
Oh.
Early soundboard inclusion
Oh, they're
for the
excited.
season.
Listen to them cheer.
Get out of here! Get out!
Didn't realise
What did Daryl Sanders used to do?
My name is Mitch, here with the full Get Into Gate team. Let's introduce us all. We got Matty Gibson.
Hello.
Brendan Gibson.
Hello.
And Rhys Gibson.
So many Gibsons.
So many Gibsons, only two of you related. You can work it out as you go along. Play a little game with yourself, you know? It's like Guess
Just
Who.
gonna feel like one of the guys around these guys.
There's a clue, Matty's not the brother. There we go. So we are Get Into Gate. Matty, Brendan and myself, massive long-term Stargate fans from way back in the 90s where this show
Right,
first
could someone
premiered.
take his phone off him? This is going to get old quickly.
We've got like 800 episodes to go, man. Come on. Rhys, Brendan's brother, grew up with Brendan under the same roof for 20 years and never saw a second of Stargate, and that's the reason we're doing this show. We're here to relive it.
Now, do you know
relive
how
it.
much of an idiot you were?
No. As I previously said, I was interested in women, not Stargate.
So what? You're not interested in women now?
No, I'm in a steady relationship, thanks.
Dig up, stupid. Dig up.
I don't have better things to do.
So Rhys is here watching it for the first time. The rest of us are here watching it, reliving it, reloving it, and we're just going to sit here and talk about it from old fans' point of view, find out why we love it, and if you are new to the franchise, like Rhys, why you should keep getting into it. It's Get Into Gate. It's a great show, and we're going to
bring it
talk
back.
about why.
Bring back Stargate.
Bring back Stargate. We've got a couple of good ideas I think we should get into
Let's
as we
put the
go
call
along.
out. Let's
Can you
all right,
imagine
bring it
how
back.
good would that be? Just
Oh,
bring them back on Netflix for like a telemovie.
10-episode arc. Just quick.
Oh man,
Fuller
I'd
House.
be happy with like an hour and a half.
You know what?
like,
HBO, Game of
movie.
Thrones is ending next year. I think the natural next step is just a revival of Stargate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Call me crazy.
Bring back Kowalski.
What you could do... well, obviously we need Walter.
Well, there's a hashtag
Build
right
a show
there.
around Walter.
Wait, fully like spin-off series.
Well, you have to have Walter
and Gunther,
as the general.
Gunther from Friends. That'd be a great
You
spin-off.
need Walter as the general, and then
HBO presents side characters.
we could have what's his name? Dumb and Dumber, the side character in that.
Dumb and Dumber. The Budgie?
I was gonna
Pretty
say,
bird.
The guy with the budgie.
The guy who pays the bills.
It's one like a nickname, wasn't like
Yeah.
not Scooter or something like.
You're offered to pay a bill.
Oh, Moose Knuckle or whatever his name was.
I think Scooter was closer.
Yeah,
Oh, you mean Camel Toe?
They're brothers.
It seemed like the
Swordfish.
yeah.
Wasn't there an S in there?
something like that.
Something like that.
Sea bass.
Seabass.
Jesus.
See, I was close
Sea
to
bass for the
swordfish.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, after you
Moose
come
knuckle.
back from Moose Knuckle.
Hey, it was still animal related.
At least mine started with an S and was one word. Closest to pin.
Samsonite. I was
You just trolled us. That was all so you could do the Samsonite joke, wasn't it?
He's here for the long con.
I wish it was.
He's here for the long con.
Oh, wow.
All right, episode 23, season 2, episode 1, The Serpent's Lair. So we're going to run through this, the second half of the great two-parter, I guess, that started with the season finale in season 1, as we always do. But what I want to bring up at the end, boys, I'm sure you two do as well, Matty and Brendan. There's
it's
been this
on.
ongoing sort of argument, conflicting theories that we started with Solitude. So good, 5-6 episodes ago. Point of origin, symbols that don't match up.
I've got a whiteboard and a marker and sound bites.
Okay, let's just
Not like Donkey Kong.
What have you come with, Brendan?
Just my brain.
Oh, shit, I left mine behind.
This is episode 23 of Get Into Gate, which means we have hit season 2 of Stargate SG-1, episode 1, The Serpent's Lair, which itself is a great episode, but is the second half, really, of the
Yeah.
story that started with the season finale in season 1.
Oh, yeah.
A great cliffhanger. We see SG-1 looking out the window, for all intents and purposes, of the gold ship, and they are coming toward Earth pretty quick, hell-bent on destruction.
And then the opening for this episode is they put that exact same shot and they just push
In
rewind.
reverse, yes.
And we zoom back in and they save money on the visual effects.
Fuck
Well,
yes, they did.
as we have been doing, let's just go to the DVD synopsis and find out exactly what this episode is about.
Let's find out how Walter saved the day.
When a fleet of gold warships launches a surprise attack on Earth, the SG-1 team uses the Stargate to board an enemy ship with enough explosives to destroy the entire force. But the team's capture suddenly turns their objective into a suicide mission. How will Walter save the day?
Nice.
Really had to work him in
by
there.
having a magic.
Poor Walter.
Not getting worked in.
He actually kind of does save the day because he has that magical telescope that was able to detect the flash on the bridge.
Yeah.
That's in space, and then Hammond just goes, "Oh, SG-1 are alive. That's it.
Yeah.
We're fine. We'll just pack it up."
Yeah, and
SG-1
Samuel's like, come on, sir.
What else could
What
it
a
be?
dick he was, Samuels. Such a dick.
Such a doubter.
Samuel.
How
Yeah.
good?
Oh, you
I don't want to
douche.
skip forward, but when he's like, "Okay, sir, I've f***ed up enough. Can I go to the Alpha site?"
Yeah.
No, you can stay here and die. Thanks.
That was good.
Well, sir,
Puts
since
the
I
coffee cup down.
no longer
One
wanted
of
or
those
needed
ties
here,
down. As
Yeah.
I respectfully request permission to join one of the teams headed for the Alpha site. At least
Permission denied.
well. Boom.
The idea is to send the best and brightest, Colonel.
Burn. Oh yeah. No way.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
to kind of quote another, the relationship between Samuels and Hammond, I always thought was a lot like Luke Skywalker and the Emperor, in the fact that Hammond is like Luke Skywalker, and he says to the Emperor, "Your overconfidence is your weakness," and then Samuels is like, "Your faith in your friends is yours." I'm like, hey, damn you, Samuels.
I was wondering where you were going with this, but
Yeah.
that's actually pretty damn apt,
I know,
isn't it?
it's
It's
good.
just like Samuel's just like
Yeah.
the SG-1s. So
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Means
And
nothing.
It's
They're
one of those
grunts.
great moments in the show where you're sort of brought in as the audience because him, he's been a dick-ish sort of character, but we've had bigger dicks in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
show.
he's no Kinsey, but he's bloody
No.
close.
But
Yeah,
just
well,
that
he
moment-
did actually mention, this is the first mention of Colonel Mayborn, but Mayborn comes into it a little bit later, who is the genuine dick.
Does he mention Mayborn in this?
He does, yeah. He says, I was on the project with Colonel Mayborn with the Naquadah Enhanced Warhead.
Oh, well, there you
I'm
go.
like, oh, jot that down.
Wasn't he in the Enigma with the Tolan?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Oh.
he has been in it, yeah.
No, you're right. He must have been then.
Was he the slick?
Yeah.
The slick back?
He's a
yeah.
sleazy dude.
Yeah, he was in
Yeah,
it.
you're right.
Yeah,
Enigma.
Mayborn was in Enigma.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, anyway, he got named again, so there you go.
That's a nice bit of continuity, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
it's that world building that that Rhys was talking about. Was it last week or the week before? How it's like it's just these little threads where it's just like you get some answers but not other answers, and it's like
That was last season. I said that. Oh, boom!
Yeah, but remember, we're not having a break. Reece.
it's
Mitch
like
discussed that last week.
it's
We're
like
not
that
having a
dad.
break.
It's like that dad joke when dad says to you on New Year's Eve, "I'll see you next
see you
year."
next year.
You'll be 32 next year, son.
But it's good to know that like Mayborn's still out there. Like he's still just being a classic douche out
Yeah,
there.
and just fucking things up, really, with that warhead was shit.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what a waste of Naquadah. They probably scraped that off the gate for weeks.
Now that the bomb does bring me to something, and you guys are probably going to hate me because it ties back to last season when we were talking about my dislike for There But For the Grace of God, and the issue I had with the alternate universe, them sending the bomb through to Chulak, and me saying that was a dick move, and you guys were like, no, we totally get it. They're at war. Well, have a listen to this. This is from this episode.
Oh, proving your point.
It's in the past, Matty.
It's in an alternate reality, Matty.
General, maybe we should consider using the Stargate as a strategic weapons platform.
How?
By sending a bomb to the coordinates that Dr. Jackson was talking about. Or to Chulak.
We already tried to send a team through to Dr. Jackson's coordinates. It won't work. And I can't think of any military reason to wipe out the people of Chulak.
Yeah.
So based on that, I'm wondering if maybe my distaste for There But For the Grace of God is retroactive from this episode, because I hear
Our Hammond.
saying, why would you go to... Maybe in the back of my mind, that's what I was projecting on you guys during There But For the Grace of God.
Yeah.
And that's why I find it so dumb that they would send that bomb through that ultimately is what screws them over.
Which
in the
makes
alternate
sense
reality.
in our reality because Hammond knows Tilk, and that's Tilk's homeworld.
Yeah.
So you're not going to just go, I'm not going to bomb Mitch's house for no reason,
Well,
in my well.
Also, I mean, they had 3/4 of
Thanks,
the,
man. Thanks.
I'm not going to do it.
not for no reason.
All right? Not when some slick prick with the...
But if you key
Lace
my
tie.
car.
All right?
But they had, in that alternate reality too, they had 3/4 of the Earth was demolished.
yeah,
already.
they're obviously in a much worse situation, but I just wonder if subconsciously that's what is, and maybe it's
Yeah.
only now going back, 20 years later that I'm sort of,
Yeah.
I've got
Maybe-
that other mindset.
Maybe that's why they did switch the roles in the alternate reality then, because of
Are we saying that alternate General O'Neill listened to Samuels and went, "Sure, Samuels, that sounds like a great
Yeah.
idea"?
Yeah. That blew
Yeah.
your mind.
So it wasn't Daniel that saved the universe. It was, in our universe, it was actually Hammond. that saved.
Yeah, and just having lazy security to let SG-1 go through the gate in the first place. It'll
no,
be
they were
fine.
wearing black clothing.
Mate,
Set the self-destruct.
Carter built the
Sir,
whole
they've
place.
gone through. I don't care. Just I like it.
I like it. Gets me off.
You spoke about world building before. There was, and speaking about the Alpha Site, there were Alpha Site travelers. Like a lot of people, they had lined up ready to go. Some had already gone. Others they had, grouped in bunches of 20 or whatever it may have been. How many people know about the Stargate now? Like, how many people
Yeah.
didn't know until they're like, okay, the world is at threat of being destroyed in the next 12 hours.
Yeah.
We need to get the biggest and best, doctors that had no idea of this military operation. Now they know, and they're sitting there in the base ready to go.
Like, oh my
And-
god, 10 minutes ago I didn't know there was like a way to travel to other planets. I'm about to travel to another planet.
Yep.
And then last minute,
It's like, oh, guys, actually,
yeah.
false alarm, you can go home. It's like, what do you do with these
surely-
people?
just sign this non-disclosure agreement on your way out so you
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
tell anybody about it.
Surely they would have let them take their families as well, like their immediate families. Like they would have taken their kids and stuff. Surely.
You'd hope so.
Like, because
Yeah, well, you wouldn't
have
go,
to,
would you?
You have to populate. the
Well, I
other-
feel like a couple of
Earth
fathers
then
in
as
the
well.
room would potentially go.
I'm not recording myself say that.
It was nice, if you were to watch this back in, 97, 98 sort of thing, you've been off a couple of months, you come back, you're immediately welcome back to where you left off. As you said, Matty, they just sort of reverse the shot. The story picks up. The pace is great. The stakes are right there. And then if you didn't pick up on the voice straight away, all of a sudden, bang, surprise, another fan favorite character, Braytek, shows up to save the day. Sort
That's
of
what I
thing,
wanted to ask
Yeah.
Rhys. How
Stupid human.
quickly did you cotton on to that being Braytek? Was
Yeah.
was it the reveal, or did you pick his voice while he was still
I
behind
picked it before. I didn't pick his voice, but I'm like, well, this can't be it. So it has to be someone. They have to get out somehow, surely. And then obviously he's dressed in that. In the
big
the
serpent guard.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
had to be Braytek. Couldn't be anyone else because we haven't
See,
met
I
anyone else.
I swear to God, I
What's
said
he
that.
going to be, his wife?
Yeah, he's his little kid, like with his mate on his shoulders. Oh, just ask me, guys.
Actually, on something, did I spoil something for you, Rhys, when we talked about within the Serpent's grasp, flashing to the end of the episode? I talked about how, because I forgot that it was this episode, not the last episode, about how Skara and Apophis ring out at the end of the episode. I actually talked about that within the
Yeah.
Serpent's grasp, completely not realizing that did that ruin it for you, or did you just?
Luckily, Rhys doesn't listen.
Luckily,
to a word
Rhys
you
knows
say.
when I'm speaking.
The only thing you've ruined for me is Star Trek.
That's your first reference.
No, that's your first.
Yeah, it counts. But no, I don't remember you.
Oh, that's good, 'cause I was-
crapping on about that.
Good, because I was really worried. It's like when I watched them ring out, I was like, "Oh crap! I hope I didn't give it away," because I wasn't sure when we recorded the season finale. I wasn't sure if you'd seen the next episode yet. So
Yeah,
I just
no, I
was
hadn't,
worried
yeah.
if I'd ruined that sort
Speaking
of reveal.
about
No,
that
not at
ringing
all.
out, I remember in the special features, I think in the first episode, they had Skara ringing out. And then in the second episode, they had Apophis. They just superimposed him in on the exact same shot of Skara ringing out.
Yeah, it looked like he was standing behind the
it did
rings.
look a little
Yeah,
bit blue screen,
They
green
did
screen,
that.
didn't it?
yeah. it
I
did.
remember noticing that.
Another way to save some money, I suppose.
Yeah.
How good is it to have rings back, though? Like, I don't think we've really seen a proper ring transport
Yeah.
for the series.
Since
Like,
the movie, yeah. Because
yeah.
that's actually the first thing I wrote down about this episode. Is it the first time that we've seen the rings? Because was it in the season finale of season 1? Because
I think it must have. Yeah, I think he must
Yeah.
have ringed in, or is that the past
Rung
tense?
in?
Well, it is still a ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the closest we got was in Children of the Gods at the very, very end when the transport shuttle is flying, like at the very, very end, is flying to the gate, and like Apophis and Skara ring down from the ship to the
transport ship.
Stargate
to go through the
through
gate,
there.
yeah.
But you don't get that effect of the rings come. I always think the rings look better when they come up from the ground
Oh,
Yeah.
they're
rather than
awesome.
coming down from the ship. It always looks
Yeah.
cool because you just
out of nowhere.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's just so cool the way they just ring up and
Yeah.
out of the end. And they're so much faster than the movie too. Going back and
Yeah.
watching the film, the rings are so slow.
One
in
at a
that.
time.
Yeah.
Bloody rah! This is the oldest ship in the fleet, though. That's what it was.
An upgraded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, new tech.
Yeah,
We-
that's
you know.
it.
Needs to download the update.
Now, I know we had a go at the show sort of makeup department a few times in the first season. I know only a couple of episodes ago, the actual Stargate or SGC patch on, I think, Carter's jacket was
Oh, yeah, it was
upside
upside
down.
down.
Yeah.
And then at one stage in episode 2, and Teal'c's a
Serpent
symbol,
was upside
Yeah.
down.
his symbol. I feel like the gold emblems really stuck out to me a lot more in this episode. I don't know whether they're a lot golder or they're a bit deeper, so they come off the forehead a little bit
Yeah.
more. They look a lot more real, I think,
So-
in this season.
So in the first season, it was a two-piece application. So Teal'c's sort of circle was one piece. Then there was bare skin, and his little S was a second piece. From
Yeah.
season
So that's
2,
where they stuffed it up. They moved that.
yeah, that's
the
why the
serpent
little gold
upside
thing was
down.
in. So now it's just one whole, like a big like lolly. It's just like this big round flesh-colored piece of latex with it printed on, with just stuck on, and then they have to do the makeup around the edge rather than having to do the makeup inside. So it's
Yeah, right.
one whole piece now.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why it kind of does sort of.
Oh,
stick
so
up
the
a little bit
spacing
more and-
inside the gold ring is flesh coloured.
In season 1, that was Teal'c's real skin. In season 2,
Okay.
that's flesh-colored
Artificial,
latex.
yeah, okay.
Like from anything inside that gold
okay.
ring is not Teal'c's actual real skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And later on, you'll hear it in season 6. I think he actually explains how he gets that, which is totally awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as
Yeah, nice.
early, isn't it? In Bane, he tells the story. Did he tell
I thought it was in. No, it was. I'm pretty sure it was season 6 when he tells an Earth citizen how if he goes, "Wow, that's really cool," and he goes, "Yeah, if you like this to happen to you."
Oh, I'm thinking of him telling an Earth citizen too, but I thought it was in Bane.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he probably did.
Could be. It's
Yeah.
not very often.
He just
brought
goes around bragging about it
Yeah,
to everyone.
to strangers.
It's not. It's that, do you-
Look at
do
my
the
gold
worst part of
stamp.
that means is it means like the other times Teal'c gets like to actually go around Earth is from sounds of it, season 2 and season 6.
Yeah, that's
is when he gets
it.
to
Yeah.
interact with people on Earth. Otherwise, he's just locked
Yeah.
in the base or he's off world.
Yeah. Sweet hat.
So I guess it's the big question about all 2-part episodes. Rhys, and I will go to you, having watched it for the first time, especially considering fans of the show watching it when it was releasing, having to wait 6, 7, 8 months maybe to
5
watch
years if you're in
this.
Sweden.
Was it a satisfying conclusion to the setup that we all loved? You go and check out our In the Serpent's Grasp episode podcast a couple of weeks ago. We loved that setup. Great cliffhanger. End of the season. This one starts up. Do you think it satisfied?
I finished the end of season 1 and I didn't watch the next episode straight away. I waited probably however long it was, 4 for 6 weeks. So I had that big interval between, and then as soon as I started watching episode 1 of season 2, I'm just like, yep, straight back there. So excited. I think the storyline was great. The way, from where it started at the end of season 1, and then, but basically the answers that you got from episode 1, season 2, and then, just the progression from there was great. Yeah, I think they did it perfectly.
It was a real good payoff to the so much of the first episode was just the boot leather of them sort of sneaking around the ship, but now it's like Apophis and Clarel both know they're there. There's no escaping. Like they've got a plan.
Yeah.
It really ramps up the action aspect of it.
Yeah, a lot
And
more
it, and
exciting.
it should, given that this was the dynamic duo. It was written by Brad Wright and directed by Jonathan Glassner. So they're like the two creators of the show.
Yeah, nice.
So it's like, I think that's why I think this is such a really, really great episode, in that it just hits the ground running, and you just...
Yeah, I think that's why I liked it. It escalated to the point where at the end they're just like, oh, Jackson's alive. Like, sweet,
Yeah.
man. My
Yeah.
God.
Oh, wasn't that just played down? And I
Oh,
look
yeah,
back
fully.
on that scene, and two people leave the room. So theoretically, he's hiding behind those people for that entirety of
Yeah.
that scene. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, look who's
Someone,
here, guys.
someone
look
wants
who's
to
here.
see you.
Nah,
It's like
fucking
he
knew
pops-
it.
He pops up with jazz hands and he's like, hey!
Yeah. But he just
It's like
kind
a
of walks
Family
in.
Guy thing.
He walks in so casual, like, yeah, guys, here I am.
Hey, I'm alive. Yeah.
And the thing is, I think
And he
they-
pushes people out of the way. Like,
Yeah.
extra, get
Daniel
out of my
Jackson.
way.
It's like reminding me of Assassin's Creed when you're blending. And
Yeah.
you slowly like part the sea of the crowd. Did they use that whole Daniel is dead as far as we're led to believe he is dead? When they've escaped the gold ship, they're in a glider, and then all of a sudden there is an Earth shuttle there. And it's like, oh, we're saved, you know,
Yeah.
right? Then all of a sudden they're back at the base. I'm like, hang on.
how did that happen?
How there is no natural docking system for
yeah,
a
yeah.
gold glider and an Earth-built
And there's no
shuttle.
There's no spacesuits or
Yeah.
you know,
Like, honestly, what did they do? I feel like they were using the emotional weight of you thinking that Daniel has just died
Yeah.
to sort of just
Well, the reason that
skirt
they
around
Yeah.
that.
and the reason they killed Daniel was because there's only 4 seats in the gliders.
yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry about
So I've got written down here. Daniel staying. No one cared.
Which,
I know,
speaking
they're
of,
like- even Jack wasn't like, "Come on, you're still alive." Like
Yeah.
they got a sarcophagus on board. I'll get you to that.
Well,
so
no, he had to
here's-
crawl there. I do take on board your note there about how the hell they get into the shuttle, because I was thinking the exact same thing, and they just conveniently that's the end.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
made it
wonder-
back.
And even if
And why are you in
even
the
if-
gate room? You didn't come through the Stargate.
even if the shuttle opened up, he probably wouldn't be able to take in one glider at a time to create a
Yeah, to
An airlock.
repressurize.
and then even if someone in the shuttle went EVA to get spacesuits to the guys in the gliders, well, as soon as they're up in the cockpit, they haven't got
Yeah.
time to get into their spacesuit.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
It
don't
just
know
seemed like
how.
such a strange.
They couldn't
move
even
to-
land in the shuttle, and then the shuttle lands with them in it, unless they connected to it. But they wouldn't.
Unless I just tow them to Earth.
Yeah, I was about to say,
But
what
they-
if the gliders just followed the shuttle? But then they said the gliders were kind of wiped, weren't they?
Yeah,
were
they
kind
couldn't
Of,
survive re-entry. They said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they gave us all these reasons why they couldn't do what they clearly did.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I just found it
Yeah.
a little bit
guys,
strange.
guys, we're gonna die. Jokes, we're not gonna die, but we're not gonna tell you how we live.
Yeah.
Do you know the most disturbing part is when did Mitch become the nitpicker in the room? Jeez.
Ah, that's still your title, mate.
Welcome to season 2. Wow.
You would improve, Mitch. Thank you very much. Now, yeah, just to cap off that was really a dick move on Daniel's behalf. Like when you think about it, like they've literally just saved the world, and I think this is where we need to start taking account of how many times they legitimately saved the planet. But
Well,
they
not
do...
only that, but also the amount of times that Daniel's died.
Oh yeah, are we going to count the movie? You just want to go purely SG1 onwards?
No, the movie.
Yeah.
The movie. There
No.
was fire and water. Daniel's dead, sir.
No, I would go
Yeah.
how many times the audience is tricked into believing Daniel's dead. And I think the movie, you'd never think... Or does he use the sarcophagus in the film? He
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so that
Yeah, he got a point blank shot from the
That's
Jafar
right.
when they were
Yeah.
legitimately
So I
a
was thinking
threat.
about him faking his own death and
Legit.
staying on the planet.
Well,
Not
was
like
kind
today,
of a deal.
honestly. There's a moment in this episode where I think they take the Zat guns, SG1 take the Zat guns, and fire it at the door. They electrify the door so that, they won't open for like 15 minutes until what? They reset and they're not electrocuted anymore?
God
I don't
damn,
know.
get the mechanic in here.
But the Jafar, they literally start trying to pull it apart with their fingernails. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're on a spaceship. If anything's going to be closing and opening properly and sealed shut when it's shut, it's probably a door on a spaceship.
Vacuum
But-
sealed door.
It's like just stick your fingers in there and open it up like a busted elevator, and you know.
Didn't O'Neill open one with a pocket knife?
Yeah, but that's O'Neill. I mean,
This is MacGyver we're talking about.
that's why he's on the show, man. They saw what Angus did for years on that show. But yeah, Daniel gets back to Earth. They've just saved the planet. Obviously, they've seen Daniel. The Stargate Command have seen Daniel come back. They've seen that SG-1 are stuck in space, but there's a shuttle there, so they've worked out a reason that we can't figure out how they're going to save them. Everything's so good, and Daniel's like, shh, but don't tell them I'm alive. This is actually going to be my moment. I know literally 6 billion people just had their lives saved, and they don't even know it.
Would have been better.
Let my best friends think I'm dead for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
It would have been.
I want to see if they cry.
should have seen your face, Jack. Idiots. Tilk, you look the same as always.
What would have been better if they were in there and then the gate just opened and in comes Daniel? That would have been a genuine
That would
reaction.
have been cool.
Yeah.
I feel like the scene we didn't see is Hammond and Jackson having a meeting while they're waiting for the rest of us to return. And Daniel's like, can we do like a fake funeral again? Can we do one of those? And then
I missed the last one.
And then I'll and then so they can do a eulogy, and then I'll pop out of the coffin and be like, "Surprise, bitches!" And Hammond's like, "No, you can stand behind a couple of extras in the gate room and pop out.
That's it.
That's as far as I'm willing to go."
Ask for a mile, I'll give you an inch, Jackson.
They totally should have done that. He should have been Jackson should have sent himself to the Alpha site.
Well, I think that's what he did. He did dial out, didn't he?
He
Yeah,
did,
because,
because he
I think you did
explained
dial
it.
to the Alpha site.
He
Yeah.
explained it here.
Dr. Jackson. Was SG-1 aboard one of those ships?
Yes.
Well, how did you get...
Well, there was a Stargate aboard the ship we were on, so once I realized we were close enough to use Earth as a point of origin, I dialed P3X984.
The Alpha site.
Yeah, well, they called it the Beta site in the alternate reality, but...
Where's the rest of SG-1?
Shut up with your stories. Answer the important question. Just on that whole, were they on one of those ships? Where did Apophis and
Chlorel.
where do they go? Like, if they're not on either one of
Yeah.
those ships,
I was thinking that.
where the hell did they
did
go?
a Darth Vader and a
Just-
TIE fighter and went off into the
Somehow
abyss.
just found another
Yeah.
pyramid
Yeah.
floating through space.
It's like retroactively, we now know that they could have used a piece of technology that doesn't exist for like another 2 seasons that becomes quite ubiquitous. But up to this point, it doesn't exist. So it does sort of raise the question of they didn't gate out. They couldn't have gated out before Daniel, like because there was no time. So it's like they only could have ringed out. And it's like, well, ringed out to where?
Yeah.
They jumped in their FaceTime sphere.
Oh, and
Bluetooth
just wrote
themselves
it out.
across the galaxy.
Like a genie in a bottle. Just
One other little piece at the end that I really liked was Braytek finally meeting the general, and he's like, "And you must be Hammond of Texas."
Yeah, moves his head.
of Texas.
You with the crown of marble.
So, yeah, that is the first, but certainly not the last time that you will hear him referred to, Rhys, as Hammond of Texas.
Hammond of Texas.
I
Which
like
is
it.
fantastic.
With the little-
Yeah.
And only Braytek can say it that way. I mean,
Yeah.
he could put that out and make
Yeah.
it sound so cool.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
it.
think
Sorry, if I can just say, when Braytek come in and met Hammond, I'm just like, oh my god, these are the two big guns meeting. This is so awesome. This is the greatest moment.
And
I was
then
just
nothing
really
happened.
fan-
And he's
I was
like,
just
"Oh,
really fanboying
we'll need to debrief you before we send you back."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you almost want to see like a buddy cop movie of like Braytek and Hammond.
I can just
like
imagine
a
them
roast
smoking cigars in their
Imagine,
undies together.
like Dukes of Hazzard, but it's Hammond and Braytek, just like in
Yeah.
a red Charger, just going across the country.
What I would have liked to have seen go up with that the debrief line is Hammond look at Braytek and say, "Well, we'll need to debrief you too." And Braytek just come up to him, sort of put his hand on his shoulder, and go, "No,"
Yeah,
and just sort of walk off, redial the gate, and bust out back to Chula.
so good.
we will crush that bridge when we
bet
get to it.
Now, Brendan, can we
yeah, we can put this to bed.
can we put it to bed? Your problem with solitudes and the Carter dialing.
Yeah, because we got a third gate now, which is now dialing. Well, the Stargate that was on the ship is the third gate that's
Yeah,
on Earth, basically using Earth as a point of origin. So
yeah.
So obviously your point of view is that he needs to use the triangle.
Yeah, and to me, that's what Daniel did. Daniel, in orbit of Earth on the ship, and he says it, I can use Earth as a point of origin, dialed, while he was on the spaceship, dialed the 6th address, and then the 7th one, rather than being the point of origin from where the ship left from, he used Earth's triangle point of origin to go to the Alpha site.
But that might not necessarily be on that DHD.
Well, obviously it was, because the point of origin is not for the gate, it's for the point in space.
Yeah.
A gate doesn't have a point of origin. A point in space has a point of origin.
But then going back to the Stargate that we're using now isn't the original Stargate, so
Yeah.
that's not the original point of origin symbol. You're talking about a point of origin
no.
in space being the physical planet, but it's not necessarily the symbol.
Well, here's the problem though, is, and again, I don't want to give anything away to Rhys, but
I know that they do
in
use that.
seasons like 4 through 6, we
Yeah.
see the Antarctic Gate in consistent use for quite some time,
Yeah.
using the triangle point of origin.
Yeah, but
so your theory is that, sorry to cut you off, Rhys. Your theory, Brendan, is Carter had the correct point of origin, but she was dialing Earth only, and that's why she couldn't connect.
Yeah.
Play this bit for me, Mitch.
The ID, the 7th symbol, yeah.
This is from Solitudes.
Yeah. This one has to be the point of origin. Never seen it before. I've been working on a control panel for the last 12 hours. It just... I don't know why it won't work. It should work. I'm missing something.
Yeah, you're on Earth. That's what she's missing.
No.
That's what they wrote.
Okay, so let's look at this way. Carter is like the smartest person on the planet. The four of us, nowhere near as smart as Carter. If you turn on your computer to write an email and you can't send the email, you check to make sure your server's working, you check to make sure your internet's connected, all those sort of things. You get to a certain point, if it's still not working, you go, oh, okay, well, Telstra's stuffed up or Optus stuffed, and I don't have any internet. Are you telling me that in the 12 hours Carter was futzing with that DHD, she never thought to dial somewhere other than Earth?
Well, that was my point, because she's saying, oh, this has to be the point of origin, which is that. So if she... that doesn't necessarily... I don't think we can ever really solve this.
No, I think we both have...
To me, unless the DHD was broken, she should have been able to dial anywhere else.
But it's not broken because we see that DHD being used in Touchstone. So the DHD works.
Yeah.
So we both have what I'll call correct hypotheses, but the problem is we'll never know the correct answer.
Yeah.
But I've just put up on the whiteboard here. So these are the two, and I've got some pictures there, Mitch, that I've got there that we can even put up on the
social pages. They're up there now. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
You see a shot of Carter dialing. This is from Solitudes. I know we've digressed, but we're talking about Solitudes here at the moment.
Yeah, well, we said back weeks ago, we said we'll be able to fix the argument that was never finished back then.
You see a shot of Carter dialing the DHD in the Antarctic. Both of these symbols here, the point of origin symbol that we've come to know, the little triangle spot, is on the left side of the DHD, and on the far right is this other one I've just drawn up on the whiteboard here, which is a circle with a line under it. That's what Carter believes to be the point of origin because, quote, as we just heard, she's never seen it before.
I see what you're saying. So it doesn't matter where you dial, you still have to have the right point of origin in any address.
If she's on Earth, if you're in Earth, you have to have that triangle as your point of origin. That triangle is on the DHD. The problem Carter had is she was using the circle as the point of origin under the assumption that she was on another planet, so she can't use the triangle as the point of origin. So my theory is that circle, and with the line underneath it, is not. It was never Earth's point of origin, whether it be because it was the first.
Yeah,
game.
whereas I'm saying it was.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But I think your theory makes more sense in our reality outside of the show.
Yeah.
But we never explore. We never see that symbol.
I think that's
again.
why I originally thought that, because she said, like you said, she's the smartest person.
Yeah.
She said this is the point of origin.
It's not Brendan's theory; it's Carter's theory, essentially.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, what we come to know within the show is we see that gate being used for 2 seasons, using the triangle point of origin, not the circular point of origin.
Yeah,
So to me, Carter's error was that, I mean, she was either with Brendan's theory or my theory, she was never going to connect.
Yeah.
But your theory
that's what I'm
basically
saying,
maintains that I give Carter more credit in that I think in no way in 12 hours with Jack dying on the ground, bleeding out internally, and Carter for 12 hours futzing with this DHD.
Well, then
at what point, even if the 4 of us were in this room and what we know about Stargate, even Rhys, if he was in that situation, he'd go, well, maybe I'll call the Land of Light or Argos, the Brief Candle people, because they can help Jack, and then we can go back from there.
And at which point would you not say, look, giving her 12 hours, you say, well, I'm going to use every single symbol on here as a point of origin to dial Arthos or whatever. I would do that. If you're giving her that much credit, then you would go, all right, well, and even if you go, well, this is impossible, but I'm going to use the triangle as a point of origin, I would assume, I could safely say that she would have done that.
Yeah.
If your
but I think Matty's point though is that thinking that that's the point of origin, which I think was the original argument, the circle with the line under it. She wasn't getting out anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand what he's.
Yeah.
We understand each other's argument. And we're just arguing which one's right.
Well, I think they're both valid.
I
think, Brendan, your hypothesis makes more sense in our universe.
Yeah.
Because Carter says, I've never seen this symbol before, it must be the point of origin.
Yeah.
Within the universe, if we're living in the Stargate universe, my theory makes more sense because for 2 years we see the Stargate being used with the triangle point of origin.
So it's got to have a triangle
Yeah.
point
So
of
it's-
origin
so-
on the DHD.
And
As far
I'm
as
thinking that that's just a production thing, and they're just
Well, it is
forgotten about
obviously,
that.
yeah. From the like I said, in the outside world,
Yeah.
it's because they just reused the shots of the Stargate spinning from season 1.
So I'm just wondering why she had never seen that symbol before. Did they just discontinue using that?
Well, no, every planet we get, there's 39 symbols on a Stargate, but there's only 38 symbols on a DHD. So no two DHDs and everything are the same because there's a different point of origin. But it's like what we were talking about early on in the season. I feel like
Well, they did bring a DHD and a Stargate to Earth.
Early on
Obviously,
in the
Egyptians-
series, I think what they alluded to is that you can't get to every single Stargate in the Milky Way galaxy from Earth. If you want to get to the other side of the galaxy, you've got to relay, to get to the other side of the Milky Way. But I think as the series goes on, it changes to you can just get to any point in the Milky Way galaxy by dialing a 7-digit address. But it limits what you can do in terms of, I think each Stargate has different symbols on it and different points of origin, obviously. So it's
you got to go the right.
yeah.
You got to go the right route to
It's
get
like,
there.
Yeah.
like getting on a train, really. Like,
Yeah,
from-
that's right, yeah.
It's steps
where we
along
grew
the
up,
way.
here, the two Gibson brothers and myself, say we're going from Cleveland, but we wake up and we're in Goodna, and we're like, we're trying to get to...
We're gonna die.
We can't go from Goodness directly to Cleveland.
Yeah, something that's like, so why can't we buy a ticket? It's like, it won't get you. You can't go direct there. You have to go
Yeah.
somewhere else. But
Change
we've
trains.
woken
Yeah.
up and all we can see is train tracks, and it's nighttime. We
Yeah.
don't know where we are.
Because
yet.
I've always theorized that Earth's point of origin is theoretically in another planet's address as like their third symbol.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, if you were trying to dial that planet from Earth, can you use the same symbol twice?
But I always
Not
thought
we've
that
ever
that
seen,
symbol wasn't
so-
necessarily, obviously it's Earth's point of origin,
Yeah.
but if you're using it in conjunction with another address, it's a constellation in space because that's what they are. It's not necessarily one star, it's a constellation.
I don't think so because of what happened in the Serpent's Grasp. In that,
Well, that's the premise of the movie, that's a constellation.
yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in the premise of the Serpent's Grasp, they dial a 6-point address and use wherever that ship is as point of origin
Yeah.
to send the melt back. They then try to dial using that same point of origin while the ship's in transit. They can't establish contact. So when Daniel is in orbit of Earth on the ship, he dials the 6-point address and uses the triangular Earth point of origin
Yeah, I was trying
to dial out.
obviously that's what they wanted to happen.
Yeah.
With that's Earth.
Yeah.
That's why they have that symbol. That's the symbol of the Tari. But I just thought it was poor writing in Solitudes to say that is the unique symbol on this DHD, and hence the
must be.
Stargate itself.
Yeah, and I
so that must
I agree.
be.
Because we
It's
never...
interchangeable.
Yeah, I think we just got to put it down to season 1 writing.
Yeah,
So
they
if
hadn't
you,
quite-
well, what I'm saying is, if you're talking about relaying, then if you grabbed a gate and a DHD from the far side of the galaxy that was unreachable from Earth and brought it here, you couldn't use it.
I think in early seasons, no, but in season 9 or 10, we see Baal do that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I think the rules change. Maybe when Jonathan Glasner left it in season 2 or 3, maybe those rules changed. And, because the whole point of Children of the Gods was we get the cartouche at Abydos that tells us all these addresses, and then again, not to spoil anything for Rhys, we get another library later on of all these other addresses that we didn't know worked from another alien race.
Yeah.
So I think there's just a little bit of universe changing
Yeah, retro,
somewhere through the series
retcons.
to make it a little bit easier to write with.
Yeah.
But I just find it...
And I'm not disagreeing that is essentially a symbol. I'm just saying that it's kind of funny to think that if she had have tried to dial out to another planet, she would have made it. But she was never going to with that.
Yeah, she was never going to with the
And
circle.
she was never going to use that necessarily. But
We're talking
Yeah.
about the person who didn't run away in Emancipation because her hands were tied together.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think Brendan and I both have valid hypotheses. The problem is we're never going to get an
problem is-
answer
yeah.
unless we can, get old mate Robert C. Cooper on the show or Brad Wright.
It's never happening.
Wouldn't that be great?
Who at which point they'll look at us like the comic book guy from The Simpsons and be like, Dude, we wrote it 20 years ago. How the hell am I
Yeah.
supposed to know? Like, it's a TV show, guys. Just relax.
It's not just a TV show.
In
Also, no,
episode 4 of season 1.
You've got to save it's just a TV show for the DC chats that Mitch does with
Oh, Get Into Geek, yeah. That's a nice shout out to Matty each and every week when we talk about the Arrowverse. So you can check us out there and Get Into Geek.
Drive off the road.
Well, thanks for listening. All right, that's episode 23 of Get Into Geek, season 2, episode 1, The Serpent's Lair. We are back for season 2. We will be back next weekend, Stargate Sunday, with episode 2, season 2, In the Line of Duty. And we'll get into it next week, but sort of sharing some similarities the way that this season started with the way that season 1 started. But we'll go into that a little bit more next week. Thank you very much for joining us, whether you're a long time or first time. Join us again on Get Into Gate next week. My name is Mitch. You can follow me socially on Twitter and Instagram, simply at Mitch_Lewis. Matty, where can we find you?
At High Pitch Matty on Instagram.
Brendan Gibson.
I am at the ancient port of origin. Sorry. At the Brendan Gibson on Instagram.
And Rhys.
I am at the Flying Gibson.
And the show as a whole, if you want to go and check out those photos of the 2 gate symbols that we're talking about from the Solitudes episode, hit us up, Get Into Gate, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to throw in your own theory, hypothesis of what we're talking about.
Yeah, maybe Brendan and I are both crazy and we're just missing something completely obvious.
Robert C. Cooper, if you are listening, and you don't forget about the episode that you wrote.
So great.
And I apologise and don't stand
There's
by.
this podcast in Australia that shits on you like all the time. I'm going to listen to this.
I want to see,
start from episode 1.
Brendan Robert C. Cooper do like a Zach Galifianakis between 2 ferns.
Yeah. I would love that.
That's the dream. Well, Robert C. Cooper or just Stargate fan, you can hit us up, getintogate@gmail.com. We'll be back next weekend, Stargate Sundays, In the Line of Duty.
GetIntoGeek.com.
Yeah, they're obviously in a much worse situation, but I just wonder if subconsciously that's what is...
Yeah.
Are my levels all right? Just looking at... Blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Oh, that's all right. It just looks a bit low.
Let the driver drive, Matty.
No, just because I turned this down and I just think I thought I might have fucked myself over.
This one.
Narcissist wants to hear himself. The only reason I've thought of that because I would do the same thing.